Oh, no. What a bunch of pricks. Anyway, welcome to the end of your week, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a really good one, and that you're having a nice trip on the way home, or you're chilling out after a long, hard week of work. Thank you very much for supporting Hobby Nightmares all the way through. It's been great, and yeah, having a really good week myself so far, so hopefully you're joining me and having a good one. So, first things first, it's going to be a bit of a shorter video today, because I've been doing tons of marking, and I've really got to get out of here at some point, but I had 3 Hobby Nightmares that I really wanted to get through, because I've been putting them off for a little while, because I'm not really sure where to put them, in terms of the rigmarole of where we're going in terms of scheduling. I'm now on my last page of Hobby Nightmares, so now is the time to send me in some Hobby Nightmares if you want me to read them out on the channel. And also, if you like what I do on the channel, please use Patreon or become a member of the channel, or like the video and subscribe if you don't want to do either of those 2 things, because either of them really help me out. And also, promo code down below, Northern Exile, to go and get yourself some nice models over at Composite Games. There you go. Let's do some Hobby Nightmares, shall we? So, Monocle is first up, and he says, Mr. Exile and my fellow fanatical followers, Monocle here again for, or the Northern Gym on the Discord server, and chapettes, if you are yet to join, do so. It's a fantastic group of people. Thank you for saying that. Yes, it is. The link is down in the description below if you want to join the Discord. It is free, so, I don't charge for it. I don't make you be a member or a Patreon or something to join it. Anyone can join it. So, another tidbit of my hobby adventure so far, says Monocle. Before we get into this, I need to make something very clear. My friendly local game store is one of a few in my city, so I tend to see people I've met at clubs and events I've been to quite often. So here we go. Return of the Melt. It's my favourite. My favourite. I'm in my friendly local gaming store at the weekend. Just gone, actually. Well, at the time of writing this. I'm picking up a few supplies I need for commission work. I've got my hands full of rocks, grass, tufts, bits and bobs. Basically a plethora of basing stuff. And as I turn around to make my way to the till, he's there. The Melt. Richard. So if you don't know, Richard is the guy from last time when Monocle was talking to a lady during a game. Just having a normal chat, Richard got his knickers in a twist and basically smashed a Hive Tyrant against the floor. But Neckbeard, standard Neckbeard, And I don't think Monocle's seen him since. This is the first time Monocle has seen him since those events of our last story. I nod hello, and as I pass him, he steps in my way. Stopping, I'm looking up at the Melt quizzically, bracing myself for another garment-rending, screeching profanity and further that guy behaviour. But no. Instead, to my absolute shock, I get a heartfelt apology. We have a little back and forth, and, in a good way, before Richard, no longer a Melt at this point, offers to pay for something from my pile as a gesture of his apology. Now, because I'm open and honest, I thank him but explain it wouldn't sit right with me, as these items have already technically been paid for, well, some of it, by the client who has commissioned some work. Richard, now back to being a Melt, responds, how do you know when someone does commission work? They'll tell you. There's no need to lie to me. You don't do commission work. You shouldn't kick a gift horse in the mouth. Okay. Now, at this point, I was just in a mix of shock and feeling a bit deflated. I'm very critical of my painting and was very excited to do some commission stuff, but now I'm just like, meh, what's the point? I was ready to give the Melt the benefit of the doubt and move forward with my last interaction with him, but now it looks like I'll just avoid any event he's at because he's quite honestly an absolute tool and I don't have the energy to deal with him. What's your thoughts, Mr. Exile? Oh, and on another point, I'll be playing some more Crusade type stuff with Erin, but don't start thinking this is a love story. Thanks for having my last story. Much love, the Northern Gym. Oh, and if you ever fancy a pint, my round. Cheers, mate. He says, I've attached a selfie to see if you still think I'm a normie. Yeah, you're basically what I thought. You know, normie, 7 out of 10 normal circles. And, if you're in a geeky circle, you're an 8 or an I. You know what I mean? So, yeah, good. Yeah, fair enough. But, yeah, my thoughts on it. Well, I think you've covered them, to be honest with you. But there are some people who just can't seem to get over their awkwardness. But I've known people who felt this way. They feel like self-sabotagers. They don't like themselves. And so the minute that something starts to go right for them, instead of just taking the win, they have to torpedo it. And that sounds ridiculous to normal people. But imagine self-loathing yourself to such an extent that you have to, even when things are going well, you have to turn them into something that's not right because you think that you're that person. You think that you're an absolute shithead. And if people don't accept you for being a shithead, then they're not seeing the real you. Right? Now, think how tragic that is from a guy who's lonely standpoint, if you're lonely. So this is why a lot of the neckbeardy stuff tends to annoy me, yes, but I also do sympathise and come down a lot on the guy's side if there is somebody there who naturally wants help. So when you said that at the start of this story, like, oh yeah, he was being very, very nice and was saying, I'll pay for something from the pile to apologise. That's great, and that's where I thought it was going, just like you. But unfortunately, not everybody is in those situations where they're not going to torpedo themselves, and he obviously thought that interaction was going too well, and he didn't deserve it because he's a dick, and he thinks he's a dick, so he just goes out and self-sabotages yet again. It just happens, dude. Move on. Like, I don't think there's anything else you could have done well in that situation. You got yourself out of it. You went on with your day. It's basically all you can do, to be honest with you. Kiwi says, and Kiwi is the Lonely Hearts wargamer that we've heard from a few times. I don't think this is Lonely Hearts' story, though. So, Kiwi says, Hi North. I'm not sure if this is appropriate for Hobby Nightmares, but I am in a dilemma regarding how I should deal with a player. I am a promoter of casual and narrative-driven games, especially in the Age of Darkness game that came out, and I encourage the players that want to try the system to first check up on some lore to find out what legion they mostly feel attracted to, and give them some tips for what an initial list should look like. That's the Horus Heresy, if you don't know. In order to find it for more balanced lore and lore-friendly gameplay. Before we had our first match, I told the new players that at 1,000 points, they should not bring scummy lists, or more than one dreadnought. They are quite a solid unit, but using more than one at the 1,000 points game usually leaves a bitter taste in the opponent's mouth, especially if his list is not anti-tank heavy. Everyone was okay with it and agreed to bring a balanced list. Except for one guy. His list was not particularly good, and focused on things he thought might be OP at 1,000 points. I tried to explain to him that list is not exactly what we had in mind for our first match, his being reliant on a lot of special rules since he plays Alpha Legion. He threw an absolute hissy fit, and basically told us that he will play whatever he wants to play. My match, Iron Warriors versus Imperial Fists, that's cool, went smooth, although I did have some rules hiccups. However, the Alpha Legion players match was an ordeal to say the least. It took us around an hour and a half just to figure out how his deployment will work. What unit can be infiltrated and what unit must go in reserves, and so on. We got a bit frustrated at this because the goal of the first match of the new edition was to figure out the basics and evolve from there. And here comes the guy with a power play attempt. I think the Dice Gods got mad as well at him, since his rolls were abysmal and his troops did not arrive from reserves until a match was already lost for him. The story doesn't end there. I usually discuss unit profiles with the guys that play Age of Darkness. Hello, Voldemort. Go away for now. The story doesn't end there, sorry. I usually discuss unit profiles with the guys that play Age of Darkness. And we had a lot to debate because of the Legends PDF released by GW for Horus Heresy 2.0, Age of Darkness, that skewered pretty much every unit and faction, except for the fellows in yellow and the Ultra Smurfs. Yeah, this is something that GW do that fucking annoys the shit out of me. Like, you've literally just released the new rules. You've just released the new rules, and then you've got to go and release a PDF which basically you know, takes the piss out of everybody's models and deflates most people's, apart from the one faction that you actually really like as the GW studio. You know, it's like a bait and switch. It's like they've got you in there, you've paid your money. Oh, by the way, the rules have changed. Now your army is just defunct. Doesn't mean anything. Like, I know that's an extreme reaction. That's an extreme thing to say. But it's scummy practice, and you shouldn't do it. Listen, unless your rules are broken, and I would say, why are your rules broken at release? If you've got to release a PDF that skewers 80% of the armies in the game, why are your rules broken at release? Why haven't they been beta tested properly? Why haven't they gone through reams and reams and reams of testing before they hit the open market? Why? Like, each edition of Warhammer, no matter what it is, Fantasy, 40k, Horus Heresy, when it comes out, the rules should stay the rules for about 6 months. No matter how broken they are, they should just stay the rules for about 6 months. Because people paid money for those box sets. And so they should have what they bought for 6 months. You know? Bring out codexes, no problem. But don't FAQ the normal army rules that come in the indexes or in terms of the Horus Heresy, the big army books. The Traitorus and the Legion books. Do not touch those for 6 months. Let people play with the armies that they've got. Establish a meta, and then work from there. But to actually change these things so quickly after it's just come out, it's dog shit, I'm sorry. It's bullshit behaviour. It really is. Okay, so Kiwi says, I mean, most artillery units are now pretty worthless to take. Same goes to some special units from Legions, like the Salamanders and Iron Warriors. Yeah, the Salamanders, fucking Outer Circle is going to be really pissed off. On the other hand, Ultramarine Fulmentaris and the name Dreadnought are absolute powerhouses of units at the moment. I tried to explain that using some units such as Fulmentaris and Terminators and more than one Dreadnought will basically end up in a very one-sided match. And generally in a very bad experience for the other player. Some agreed with me, some did not, including the Alpha Legion guy. The main reason being that they will use whatever they want, and people shouldn't be forbidden to use units just because I said so. Which I did not. I just stated what units feel particularly OP in the current meta, and what units I would not like to fight against in the current state of the rules. I am unsure how to deal with this behaviour. On one hand, I want to play a match against such people with an absolutely disgusting seal clubbing list, and never play them afterwards, and on the other hand, I feel like this kind of behaviour is not worth my time, and I should just ignore him / not play them. Okay, so. Sorry, I had to have a think and a drink of water. So, for me, I think you're both right. And look, this is a symptom of poor event design. And I'm really sorry I have to say this to you, Kiwi, but like it is. Your rules for an event need to be very clear and precise. And they need to be written down somewhere. So everyone has like a PDF or whatever, what the rules are for the event. If you're not happy with the current meta, that's fine. Organise an event and say, these lists, you know, these units and these lists are banned at 1,000 point games in this format. If you don't want to abide by these rules, then simply don't play. Then you have a group of people in your group who have all bought into the same thing, and if one of them starts to not play ball, you have something to point at and say, hang on a minute, accountability, you were shown this, you were given this, you agreed to this, and now you're reneging. Get your models and fuck off. Like, or you know, obviously don't be that nasty, but like, just say, look, you know, if you don't want to play, that's fine, but these are the rules we're playing. Right? It's childish behaviour to come in and like say, you know, well, you know he's in the wrong at that point. What you've introduced into your event here is grey area. And we don't want that in Horus Heresy. Horus Heresy is a rule set based on 7th edition rules. And 7th edition rules were not very balanced. They just weren't, right? We had all sorts of things that were completely beyond the pale. What I like about Horus Heresy is that it's an addressing of most of those issues, but it doesn't address the fact that at its core, 7th edition is a game that rewards really scummy list building, right? And you can't get rid of that with Horus Heresy by just slapping a Horus Heresy name on it and changing a few of the rules around here and there, right? That's not how it works. I love Horus Heresy as a game. I love the reactions in Horus Heresy 2.0. I think it's one of the best things Games Workshop have ever introduced. I really enjoy it. And I think it's a really good statement for alternating play. I just think it's a really good idea. And when I say alternating play, I don't mean in 10th edition they should just, get rid of the normal game mode. No. Have two. Have alternating play or standard play. Standard play is like, you play the game and you can have reactions and stuff. Alternating play is activating a unit at a time on each side. That's the sweet spot for me. It's having both in the edition. I don't know why you have to have one or the other. But what you've done is you've introduced a grey area, and you don't want that in a game like Horus Heresy because people will take the piss. And people have taken the piss. So in future, I would take this as a learning experience. Move away. Recognise what you've done wrong here. And next time, have a strict set of rules that are there, ready to read, and people can have a look at them. And you know the rules, the meta of the rules and all that. And if you want to appease these people, then do another event and do similar rules, but this time it's like, bring whatever you want. We're doing 2,000 points, so you can have this, and that, and the other. And just make sure that the rules are black and white and they're there for everybody. There's no grey area. And then you will avoid fools like this from winding you up, right? They won't be around. You can just like, okay, bye. You know the rules. You know the rules. So yeah, learn for future is my advice there. Duke Leto says, greetings North and greetings Nightmare enthusiasts. North, could you please confirm that it's worthwhile that we fully watch the YouTube ads that pop up on your channel rather than skip them? I'll do it, but only for you, mate. I can't say that because that is against the YouTube terms of service. I can say when you watch any YouTube channel, if you watch the entire ad, then yes, it does bump up the numbers of that video, and that video gets more money from you watching that ad. I'm not saying do that for me, because that is against YouTube's terms of service. So I'm not going to do that. But yes, in response to your question, it does help any YouTuber when you watch all of the ads. So he says, I have a hobby snafu that taught me a lesson as it relates to gaming with co-workers. I work at an aerospace manufacturing company here in the US. One day, I got to speaking to a co-worker to whom I don't normally talk to. Let's call him Jimmy. As factory workers sometimes do, Jimmy was wearing a graphic t-shirt that seemed to be depicting the Netflix animated TV show Castlevania. I mentioned how much I enjoyed that series, and how I'd love to be able to do a role-playing campaign in that setting. He perked up and said that it's been a long time since he's role-played, but he would join as a player if I were to DM a game. I said, great, and over the next few weeks, I proceeded to line up other players and get the ball rolling with all the background info and world building stuff. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, Dungeon Masters are the salt of the earth. These are the social glue. These are the guys who are going to get you out there playing games and interacting with people. The amount of married couples and couples normal who met through a DM organising a game that I know is ridiculous, right? Should just call them nerd matchmakers. Now, I know one guy that if you get invited to one of his games, there's a 90% chance there's somebody at that table that he's got earmarked for you to be in a relationship with. He's literally just like, it's just what he does. He's just like, yeah, this person will be right for this person. Let me get them together in this game, and they'll naturally start flirting, and away we go. Right? He's just awesome. But yeah, like DMs are the social glue of the hobby, dude. They really are. They're amazing. Then things turned south. As it turns out, I am the quarterly engineering manager for this aerospace company, and we make parts that are important for flight safety, such as Rolls-Royce engines. Maybe next door to you in Derby, actually. Yeah, Rolls-Royce is down a bit further south from me. Needless to say, I have to enforce policies and sometimes be the bad guy in the factory. Jimmy was starting to get sloppy with his work and was skipping important steps. Ooh. I had to call him out on his shit, so I did it politely in private and asked him to do better. Keep in mind, I am not actually Jimmy's manager. Another few days went by, and he was still not shaping up. I finally had to go to his boss and request formal discipline, and in the process, soured our relationship. Well, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, man. If it's safety, and these are engines and aerospace parts, you know, you don't want a fucking plane falling out of the sky because this douchebag doesn't want to do his job properly. Lots of families on those planes. I finally had to go to his boss, and yeah, it soured our relationship. Bumping into him later was awkward, but I didn't apologise because firstly, I feel I didn't do anything wrong, and secondly, I was a professional, and I was as professional as I could be under the circumstances. Needless to say, he didn't join the role-playing session, and by the time I dealt with all of this, the other players lost interest. My lesson learned here is that I vowed not to play war games with anybody from work. I even have a young engineer who works for me who plays Warhammer, but I'm just staying clear of game discussions. I concluded that me being part of management, the chances of things getting weird are just too high. The only thing gaming related that I bring into work nowadays is an extra set of paints, where I would bang out 30 minutes of painting during my lunch break with my office door shut. Cheers to making the best of things and looking forward to some kick-ass mayhem on the Gorgon Seas. Yeah, we are organising a RPG campaign. So yeah, there's something to be said for keeping a professional line between you and work colleagues. There's nothing wrong with that. What I would say though is that do your vetting. If you're in work and you're talking to somebody and they seem like a genuine person and they're into Warhammer, do your vetting. Talk to them. Find out what their work is like. Find out whether they're a person who's going to be reliable, who's not going to chuck you in the shit, you know, and who isn't going to whinge and moan. And then finally, if you're in a position of power and those things are being asserted that in a positive way, then yeah, invite them to go and play Warhammer. You know, why not? Why the hell not? I wish more bosses would do shit like that. So whilst I applaud you for, you know, keeping that first guy at a distance, because, you know, you might have to come down on him like a ton of bricks again and you don't want it to get awkward, I would vet people first, but always have your door open to people who want to know you if you're part of management, because creating that line, this isn't a Royal Navy ship in the 1800s, you know what I mean? You don't need to create separation between you and your colleagues. You know, there needs to be that respect there in the workplace, sure there does, but at the same time, I honestly think that it's good for your happiness and the general well-being of the office in general if you actually do your vetting first, you make sure that you know who you're getting into a gaming friendship with, and then if you're happy with that, take that to the next step and say, yeah, let's get together and play some Warhammer, whatever, you know, that sort of thing. That's my advice anyway. What do you guys think? Love you all a long time. I really hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please send in your hobby nightmares, and if you want to be involved in the current prize draw, which will be taking place later on this month, you have 2 chances to win £50 worth of models. That's right, £50 worth of models this month. You have a good chance to win those. If you did win in any of our previous competitions and you have not yet told me what you want, or you want to change what you want, please tell me over the weekend, because I will be ordering the stuff early next week. So, thank you, and doesn't matter where you are in the world, by the way, I'll send it wherever. Anyway, love you all a long time, have a really good rest of your week, and support Composite Games if you want more stuff from them, because, you know, they help me out as well. Have a really good weekend. See you on Monday, folks. Have a good one.